Good morning, good morning. How are you all? All right. We're still chattering. Still checking in. We have 1 minute. Ian? Who's that?
I don't know.
Oh.
I just thought you were beside.
Oh, okay. So it's free. It's open. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure if somebody comes in, we're able to put them in there. How's everybody doing? It's good to take a breath. We have a prime seat right down front. Yeah, seriously. I guess somebody was saving, but they're not here. So you can move the cup. There we go, Sue. Hi. All right. Good. So can everybody move their arms out to the sides without... Yeah, we might need to scooch around a little bit. All right. This has become our tradition now, right? We have to have John ring us in. So the weather has been pretty spectacular, huh? How many of you have been out like walking and getting outside and all that good stuff? Good, good, good. And how's the breathing going? I wanted to talk a little bit about breathing this morning. You doing it? Good. Okay. Just checking. Making sure everybody's still doing it, right? Yeah, so, we don't often think about our breath until we have a problem, right? We just kind of take it for granted. So breathing is sort of at a high level, excuse me, breathing is the only function in our bodies that is both automatic and under our control, right? There's nothing else you can stop by just deciding you're going to stop. You can't stop your heart, you can't stop your digestion, but you can stop your breathing. Or you can deepen your breathing. And the excuse me, the apparatus, speaking of breathing, right, I'm having a hard time here. The apparatus for breathing, we all know about the lungs, right? Everybody is familiar with the lungs. You've got 3 lobes on one side, on the right side, and then you have 2 lobes on your left side. But the really interesting thing about the lungs is that they're almost overmatched for our system. Right? So when we're at rest, we have this kind of shallow breath. When we're sleeping, we have a really shallow breath. We're using a fraction of our lung capacity. Our lungs are huge, just huge. So if we think about the structure that goes down, right? So I like to think of the lungs like a tree, right? So if you think about your trachea, that's your windpipe, right? That's the trunk of the tree. And then it branches off. When it gets down here, it branches off to the right and left sides into your bronchi, right? So you have the right bronchi and the left bronchi. And those are like the branches, the major branches of the tree. And then from those branches, you get into even smaller branches called bronchioles, right? And then at the end of all those bronchioles are the leaves, which is your alveoli. Right? So just think of it like a tree. That is, when you breathe in, you're filling your whole tree, right? Now, the really cool thing about this, there's so much real estate in there that's so compact that if we were to take it out of our bodies, right? If we were to take our lungs out of our bodies and iron it out, right? So that it was flat, like all the little curves in the branches, all the little curves in the twigs, all the little curves in the leaves, it would be the size of a tennis court. The size of a tennis court. It is actually bigger than your skin, right? We often hear, oh, the skin is the biggest organ in the body. Not true. Not if you iron it out, right? If it's not ironed, that's true. But yeah. So, kind of cool. If you think about breathing into your lungs, Can you take a breath big enough to fill a tennis court? You can. You just don't. Right? We have the ability, but we don't use it. So this is one of the really cool things about breath, is that we can choose to increase that. I can choose to increase my lung capacity simply by doing it. Simply by doing it. There's nothing special we need to do. But let me say this. The lungs depend on everything around them to create movement. Right? So your lungs, if your lungs are encased in a rib cage that's really tight, right? So the intercostal muscles between your ribs, those are that's what when you're eating spare ribs, when you're eating ribs, that's what you're eating, are intercostal muscles, right? Oh, how many are vegetarian now? So your intercostal muscles, when they get really tight, they kind of lock things down. When the muscles of your shoulders get really tight, they lock things down. So when your lungs are trying to fill, they're bumping up against the walls of your rib cage and they can't fill. So this is part of the reason why we do so many exercises for the arms and shoulders and kind of getting the chest open and everything, because we're trying to increase some lung capacity. Because that's what I'm about, is creating movement in places we don't normally have movement, right? So getting that nutrition into places that are malnourished. All right, so you ready to fill some tennis courts out there? Cool. Let's do a little breathing. So if you want to come up to the front of your chair and have your feet underneath your knees. Yeah.
What's the advantage of that? I mean,
Why is what good for you? So the air that goes into your lungs works through the transport system of your cardiovascular system, right, to deliver oxygen to all your cells, like right down to your feet. So the more shallowly you breathe, the less oxygen is available. And the body is going to prioritize the things that are necessary. So your heart, your organs, those are necessary. Your brain, actually brain's the big guy, it takes everything. So it's going to prioritize that. So we're going to have less circulation in our hands and feet. We're going to have less circulation in our arms and legs. If it's shallow enough, if we don't have enough breath in there, we don't have enough exchange in there, we can actually start having issues with our organs. The more important part of breathing, and I know you didn't ask this question, but I'll say it anyway, the more important part of breathing is actually the exhale. So you have to exhale completely in order to create enough space for air to come back in, right? So it's like, I think I've said this before, that it's like if you imagine you're sopping up a puddle of water on the counter with a sponge, you get to a point where that sponge is saturated, you have to wring it out. So that's what the exhale is. It's the wringing out of the sponge in order to get more air in. I know I diverged, but did I answer your question? Okay. All right. Good. Yeah, John. Oh, good. We have questions. Awesome.
Outside got a lot of oxygen. Outside, trees or what have you. Oxygen.
It's the same in here and out there. Until you get to like altitude. That has an effect, right? But we don't have to worry about that here in Massachusetts. We don't have anything even close to approaching altitude. But yes, it's the same. It's going to be the same inside and outside. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Anything else? I want to dive right in. All right. So before we start breathing, can everybody just check their phones? I just remembered that myself. And I'm going to silence my watch. All right. And now we can start practicing a little breath. All right. So again, sitting with your feet underneath your knees and getting your shoulders sort of right above your hips. Relax your neck and your head. And if it's comfortable, close your eyes. And I want you first to picture, as you're breathing in and out, I just want you to picture your lungs or your lungs and your trachea, actually, like the tree. So as you breathe in, you're breathing into the trunk of the tree. That's your trachea. And then you're going down to the left and right bronchi, so into the right lung and the left lung. Those are the main branches of your tree, into the smaller branches of your tree, and out to your leaves. So breathe into your tree and see if you can picture or imagine how many millions of branches, how many millions of leaves are on the ends of all those branches. And your job is to breathe all the way out to the leaves. Now, the longer and slower you breathe, the deeper you can get the breath, the farther it will get on that tree, right? So if you breathe shallowly, you're going to just breathe into your trunk and your main branches. If you extend the breath a little bit more, you'll get out to the smaller branches and the twigs. And if you breathe even more, you'll get all the way out to the leaves. So just kind of picture or imagine as you're inhaling and exhaling that you're breathing into your tree and breathing out. So we've got all this real estate inside the chest, and it's all kind of, it's in this like kind of wavy, curled on each other, curvy kind of pattern in there. And again, remembering if we were to take the lungs out and iron them out, that's a whole lot of space. So as you're visualizing breathing into your tree, I'm going to ask you to also think about your rib cage. Now, can you feel some expansion and contraction in your rib cage when you breathe in and out? This allows that air to get farther into the trees. It allows it to get down into those little branches and out to the leaves. So as we continue to breathe, we're going to try and create a little more space. We're going to try and move the walls of the rib cage a little bit, creating more space in there. And there's two ways we can do this. As we breathe in, we can let the belly get soft and let the belly expand. And that allows for sort of that bottom wall of the thoracic part of the body. That allows that bottom wall to move down. The other way we can do this, and this is maybe more accessible for some people, is when we breathe in, we can very slowly and gently lift the shoulders up to the ears and get taller through the top. And then as we exhale, we can very slowly and gently lower the shoulders down. So now we're just moving that upper wall. So if we think about the rib cage like a box, right? So we've got the front, the back, the sides, and we have a bottom and a top as well. So once again, if it's a little easier, and it is for a lot of us as we breathe in, to move that top wall, breathing in just very gently, very slowly, lift the shoulders way up and get taller in your chair. And then as we exhale, very slowly lower the shoulders back down, but stay tall in your chair. So I'm breathing in and I'm raising my shoulders and moving that upper wall, and at the same time now, I'm relaxing my belly and I'm letting my belly expand so that lower wall is moving as well. So breathing in and breathing out, creating more space. And if this is getting to be a little tough for your shoulders, if you're feeling tense in your shoulders, you can just kind of relax the shoulders and not do that movement. So this is about maintaining our resting level of tension if we can, as we expand the bottom and top, which I guess would be the floor and the ceiling, right? So we've got the walls and we've got the floor and the ceiling. So you're breathing in and you're trying to fill your lungs all the way to the leaves. And as you breathe in, the floor is kind of moving down, the ceiling is moving up, and then see if you can feel some expansion in the sides, the front, and the back of the rib cage. So that's like the four walls. Breathing in and breathing out. And then one more nice deep breath in. I'm going to ask you to hold for a moment and then see if you can grow your room even bigger by breathing in just a little bit more and then letting it out with a sigh. Then go back to your natural breath. You can let your eyes open and then we can roll those shoulders up and around, especially if you were lifting through the top part of your room there. So we're inhaling and exhaling, and then we're going to breathe in and out and get the elbows circling, right? So we're just getting some nice big movements here with the elbows this morning. Notice how the shoulders are feeling, if they're tight, if they're nice and loose, if they're open. How about just the right one? We'll just kind of get that in a big circle up and around, and as you lift your elbow up, I want you to see if you can feel underneath your armpit and into your rib cage and right down to the top of your hip over there. So can you make a circle big enough to feel that movement? And then we'll switch to the left. So same thing. See if you can breathe in and breathe out and really expand. Good. And then let's go back to the right and let's see if we can go in the opposite direction. So if you can remember which way you went, go the other way, same thing. We're just kind of extending that upper arm way up as high as we can, and then we're going to go to the opposite side, same thing, really extending and breathing. Excellent. All right, and then let's take both arms up overhead, reach way up, up, up. Breathe into the space underneath your ribs. So it's almost like your rib cage, you can feel it expanding out on the sides. And one more time, breathing, nice deep breath in and let it out with a sigh as you let your arms come all the way down to your lap. Good. Excellent. All right, let's take the hands and we're going to interlace the fingers. We're going to press the palms away. And as you press the palms away, we're going to round through the upper back a little bit here, right? So you can feel. Now, this is harder to feel breath in the upper part of the back, but see if you can take some breaths into that upper back. And with your next inhale, you're going to come all the way up overhead. If you can keep your fingers interlaced, that's great. And then as you exhale, bring your arms down, bring them around behind you, interlace your fingers, and then we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together, pulling the shoulder blades back. Keep your chin kind of level with the floor, and we're going to breathe into this upper part of the chest. So this is another area where we don't often feel a lot of movement, is in this upper part of the chest. So with the back kind of, with the shoulder blades kind of squeezed together, and the back of the body is now kind of locked down because we've got the shoulder muscles in the shoulder blades engaged. When we breathe in, we have the opportunity to explore what we can do here in the upper part of the chest. So breathing in and breathing out. And with your next exhale, you're going to release your arms, let them come around, and we're going to take the right arm over to the left, and we're going to pull that across the body. So again, just thinking about breath. Where is your breath right now? Take a couple of breaths and see what you feel. Can you feel or can you move your breath to the outside of this right arm, to the back of the shoulder, to the upper back, somewhere in that area? Can you make that kind of that mental calculation to get the breath over there, and then just see if the breathing actually follows it, right? And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So taking the left arm over to the right, and again, just give it a little tug over here. That's going to open up through the back of the body, and as you do, just see if you can feel or sense or direct your breath into the back of that left shoulder blade, the back of the shoulder, maybe the top of the shoulder a little bit, maybe the ribs on that side. So it's always an exploration. It's always a question. That's how I look at movement. That's how I look at being in my body. It's always a question. It's always an experiment. What can I do? If I do this, how does that affect the rest of my body? And one more breath. And then we'll release the arms. Let's just sort of roll things out a little bit here. Good. And then hands to your lap, if that's okay. We're going to do a little bit of movement for the neck now. So the neck muscles, I'm just going to say all the tissue around the neck. So we have discrete muscles on the sides, the back, the front, but they all work together, right? So with the neck, most of us are in this kind of position because we're in this position, right? Do you recognize this? Yeah. That's when I forget I'm in my body. This is when I kind of get like this. So, we tend to overcorrect. We come up like this and we get like really stiff instead of just kind of exploring how can I get my shoulders to be over my hips. I don't have to squeeze my shoulder blades. I can actually make some movement at my hips, my low back, to get that movement, right? So let's give that a try. So get into, I'll call this like your slump position. This is your watching TV position, right? Yeah, so or working on your computer position or driving the car position. I can't think of any other ways we do this, right? Yeah, so this is how we are. So see if you can move from the lower part of your body to get your shoulders above your hips. Right? Come back into that slumpy position. Okay, now I want you to throw your shoulders back and sit up straight. Very different, right? Very different. So when we think about it in terms of breath, when we do this, we are locking things down. That room is not going to expand and contract when we breathe. When we do it from the hips or the spine, up the spine, and then we've got more relaxed tissue in this upper part of the body, so we're creating space for the breath to work. Okay, so come back to your slump again. This is our favorite posture. And then we're going to slowly come up. Right? So we're using the hips and the back. And just breathe. Breathe into that space. Can you feel, so I'm just going to ask some questions, and you can ask this of yourself. So can you feel not just your ribs expanding and contracting, but can you feel your head sort of moving a little bit more freely? Can you feel your shoulders, shoulder tops kind of moving up and down a little bit? Can you feel your arms relaxed? Can you feel movement in your spine? Is there sort of this, I'm picturing like kelp on the ocean floor, right? So it's tethered to the ocean floor, but then there's this little tidal thing that's happening. So can you feel that in your spine as you're breathing in and breathing out? And if you're going, I don't know that I quite get that, deepen your breath a little more. So take deeper, longer, deeper breaths and see if that makes a difference. And if that doesn't make a difference, just inquire, am I holding my shoulders back really tight? Is my jaw clenched? Is my face, my brow furrowed, right? So am I creating some tension in my face? Are my hands clenched? What if I were to be able to let go of all of that and just trust that my spine has created, through my hips, because I'm sitting, that my spine has created this optimal position now for my shoulders to be over my hips, and the breath can move in and out. And now ask yourself, can you breathe in so much that you could fill a tennis court? Right? That's a really powerful image to have in your mind, breathing in and just filling that tennis court with breath, and then breathing out and feeling all of that exhalation coming back out. Let's take in another nice deep breath, and we're going to let it out with a sigh. All right, good. Okay, let's move the shoulders a little more. Yeah, go ahead, sure. So in through the nose. In through the nose. So I'll start there. Because, I know, this is going to be a whole class on breathing, you guys. So in through the nose, because what we want to do is condition the air before it gets into those bronchioles, into the tree branches, right? So before it gets down there. Inside your nose, you have hair, right? Everybody have nose hair? You all have nose hair. Okay, good. So you actually have something called cilia, which you can't see, even with a 10x mirror. You can't see it. They're little tiny fingers. They're kind of like hairs, but they're sticky. And the cilia trap all kinds of foreign agents that are very small, like pollen and things like that. They trap all of that before it gets into your lungs. So that's number one. The second thing is you have sinuses, right? So the air comes in, and the sinuses are like little turbines, right? So the air comes in, and it goes through the little turbines. And while it's going through the little turbines, it conditions it to the right temperature. So if it's cold out, it makes it warm. If it's warm out, it makes it cool. And the other thing it does, this is so cool, is that when you breathe in through your nose and it goes through those little turbines, a turbine, its whole mechanical structure is supposed to drive more force, right? So anybody who's a car enthusiast, right? A turbocharged engine is something that has turbines in it. As you send air through turbines, what it does is it drives the air, as you breathe in through your nose rather, it drives the air deeper into your lungs. So you might feel like you can get a better breath through your mouth, but you can't. You can actually get more air through your nose. So let's try that. I want everybody to take a big breath through your mouth. And do that again. Do you feel oxygenated? No. Now take a really big breath, and it doesn't have to be fast, but a big breath through your nose. And out. And again. And out. Different, right? Way different. So that's the breathing in part. The breathing out part, and I hesitated to answer you because there's some caveats here. So the breathing out, if we want to breathe out in a way that balances the oxygen and carbon dioxide, so in a normal way, we breathe out through the nose, because as it goes in, so it goes out. If I have breathing issues, if I have emphysema, COPD, asthma, it might be more efficient for me to breathe out through my mouth because it gets the carbon dioxide out quicker. So anyone who's ever had, I'm losing my words here, breathing coaching, breath work, not breath work per se, but like respiratory therapy. Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Wow. So if you've done respiratory therapy for something, they will often have you breathe in through your nose and out through pursed lips. And the reason for that is because when you blow out through your lips, and this is very helpful if you kind of get over stimulated, when you breathe out through pursed lips, you are actually getting more carbon dioxide out of your body quicker than if you breathe out or you breathe out, right? So gets the air out quicker. And if you remember what I said a few minutes ago, if you really want to oxygenate your body on an inhale, the most important part is the exhale. So when you breathe out through pursed lips, you are wringing the heck out of that sponge. You're making sure that sponge is ready to take in more air. Did I hit that? I'm sorry, say that again? It's a smaller tube to get the air out, right? So it's just like turbocharging, right? So this is a big tube, right? This is a little tube. Yep, good question. Yeah. What happens when you hold your breath? Eventually your brain says, what the heck are you doing? And you pass out. With your tree. So your tree just stays stationary. I mean, so you're not getting more air in or more air out. However, there's always a right? So if you want to condition your lungs, right, one of the best things you can do is hold your breath. Yeah. So if I want to explore how to create more space, I'm going to take in a breath and I'm going to hold it. What happens? So actually, I want you all to do that. Take in a breath and I want you to hold it as long as you can. Actually, hold it until you get that first desire to breathe out, right? And do that a couple of times. Just breathe in, hold your breath, and then when you feel that little, oh, I kind of need to exhale now, go ahead and do that. Everybody get to do that at least once or twice? Yeah? Okay. So you know that sensation I'm talking about, right? It's your brain and your body saying, okay, this is how we're breathing. So now what I want you to do is take in a breath, and I want you to hold it past that first little, oh yeah, we need to breathe out. I want you to hold it longer than that. Until you feel like a little bit of kind of wacky energy, like, oh, hey, what's going on? I think we need to breathe out. When you feel that little bit of anxiety about breathing out, then breathe out. And do that a couple more times. So again, you're breathing in, you're going to hold your breath, hold past that first desire to breathe out. Did everybody get a chance to do that at least once or twice? What did that feel like? You feel a little lightheaded. Yes, we've changed the oxygen and carbon dioxide ratio a little bit in the body, and the brain has that pretty well calculated. So now we're kind of throwing things off a bit. Did anybody feel like a little bit of anxiety holding their breath? Yeah, you can hold, yeah, exactly. You can feel a little bit of anxiety. So a couple things happen when you hold your breath. When you breathe in, the air is a certain temperature, right? It's not 98.6, right? It's whatever this is, 72, 74, something like that. Well, cold air, when it's exposed to a warm environment, expands. So just by holding your breath, you're going to expand. And that can create that feeling of, oh, I've got to exhale. The longer I hold, it's not just that we've got this ratio of breathing in and breathing out, but now I'm growing more air in there because it's getting warmer in my body. And that cascades into your nervous system too, but I won't get into all of that. Did that answer that? Okay, good. All right. Anything else? This is good. I love these discussions about breathing. Yeah. Yeah, sure. So we don't think about it. Like I said at the beginning, right? So breath is something that happens without thinking about it, right? So want to hazard a guess how many breaths you take a day? Anybody want to guess? About 18,000 breaths a day. Wow. Is right. That's a lot of breath. And you're not even aware of it. That is flying under the radar. Under the radar. And that, I would say, is not optimal breathing. That's just regular. That's just keeping me alive breathing. That's just making sure I'm still here breathing. So by doing some deep breathing, we are exploring more of our capacity. But what I said in the beginning also was that when you take in deeper breaths, there's more oxygen available to hands and feet, to arms and legs, to the brain, to the organs. The other thing, and I guess I will talk about this a little bit, the other thing is your nervous system, right? So your nervous system, when you breathe very shallowly, your nervous system stays on kind of high alert, right? So think about how a rabbit breathes, right? If you ever watch a rabbit in the wild, right, you can see their little bodies they're breathing very quickly because they got to run. They're food. They got to get out of the way, right? Things that aren't food don't have to breathe like that. So we're not food, but we think we are. because we live in an environment that creates that same sort of stress that we do this shallow breathing. So when we do some deep breathing, what it does is it actually stimulates, in a good way, it stimulates our nervous system to calm things down. So I'm no longer on high alert. I'm no longer on high alert. Because you can't breathe deeply and run at the same time. When you run, you're breathing shallowly. When you're lying down, then you can breathe deeply. Yeah? Okay. Good. Good, good. Anything else? We are doing our breathing today, right? All right. So just sort of coming back to this idea of creating more space in the rib cage. The lungs don't have the ability to, like your biceps. If you work on your biceps, they're going to get bigger and they're going to get stronger. Your lungs won't get bigger and stronger. They're a different kind of muscle. This different kind of muscle altogether. So they rely on everything around it. They rely on the muscles around the rib cage. They rely on the muscles around the waist. They rely on the muscles in the neck. So we're going to work a little bit of the muscles in the neck, because when I'm in this position, a lot, I am compressed through the rib cage and I can't breathe in. So I want y'all to get into your slumpy position again. How many classes do you go to and they tell you to slump? Right? No exercise class tells you that. So from this kind of slumpy position, I want you to take as deep a breath as you can. Can you feel all that restriction in there? Yeah. It's like, wow, holy moly. So now straightening up from the hips, right? So doing that little movement from the hips all the way up, take that same nice deep breath. Wow, huge difference. So if I'm in this position, I can't breathe as well. So getting the chin down to the chest is going to start to create a little more length in the muscles of the neck and in the tops of the shoulders. So I'm going to have you just drop your chin down toward your chest. And just relax the muscles in the upper back as best you can. And that's hard for a lot of us. Let me just say that. It is very hard. So if you're going, I have no idea what she's talking about. I don't feel anything going on back there. It's as tight as it always is. That's okay. So from this position, I'm going to have you just bring your right ear toward your right shoulder. And see if you can feel a stretch through the left neck or the left shoulder, the left upper back, somewhere on that left side. And you're breathing in and out. If you can breathe deeply, that would be great. And then you're slowly going to bring your chin back to center, and you're going to bring your left ear toward your left shoulder. Same thing. So the chin is way down toward the chest. Breathing in and breathing out. See if you can feel a stretch on the right side, wherever that is. And then we're going to go back to that right side again. So nice and slow. You always want to move your neck a little slow when we're doing these kinds of things. Breathing in, breathing out. And go on over to the left side one more time. Now we're staying here for a couple of breaths because we're just trying to use the breath to help us get more length into the side of the neck, into the shoulder, into the head. And then bring your chin back down toward your collarbones. Notice if it's able to drop down a little farther. Take some breaths into the back of your neck. And we're going to do that just one more time on each side. So go over to the right. So your chin is toward your chest. Your ear is over toward your right shoulder. I want you to really pull that ear over as much as you can. See if you can get a stretch on that left side. And again, it can be anywhere from the side of your head all the way down to your upper arm. It can be into your back. It can be into your chest. And you're breathing really deeply. So take 2 full deep breaths while you're here. Or 2 more, actually, because we've been breathing for a bit. And then very slowly, keeping your chin toward your chest, you're going to move over to the left. So now your left ear is toward your left shoulder. And I want you to really pull that ear toward the shoulder as much as you can and breathe deeply here. Breathe deeply. And then slowly bring your chin back down toward your collarbones. And then very slowly raise your head back up to sort of that level position. With your shoulders over your hips, I'm going to ask you to take a nice full deep breath in and think about the roof of your room, right? So the top of your body lifting a little higher as you inhale and exhale. Notice what you feel in your shoulders. Notice what you feel in your chest, in your upper back. One more breath in and let it out with a sigh. All right. So now bring your feet a little wider than your hips. So we've got a little more space here in the upper back, the neck and the shoulders. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get some space in through the sides of the body. We don't often think about stretching under the armpits, under the rib, or on the side of the rib cage, but we're going to try and do that now. So if you're working with a shoulder that doesn't allow you to get a full range with your arm up overhead, just do the best you can. The focus is going to be on stretching through the side of the body. So I might just be able to do that. I might be able to lift my elbow a little higher, or maybe I can go all the way overhead. The arm position is just whatever you can manage, okay? All right, so let's start with use your right hand to support yourself on your right leg. And then what we're going to do is bring the right ear to the right shoulder, right? So we've got to stretch through the neck. And then we're going to try and bring the right shoulder down toward the hip. And as we do, we're going to breathe in and bring that left arm up overhead. And then we're going to come back and put the hand on the thigh, right? So that's the whole movement here. Now, if bringing your ear to your shoulder makes you feel a little wonky, just leave the head out of the equation. You can just kind of lean over. So as you breathe in, we're going to do this with the breath, okay? So as you breathe in, I'm going to have you lean out to that right side and use your arm to support you. And you don't want to let your left sitting bone come off the chair. You're definitely going to feel less weight in that sitting bone, but you don't want it to come off the chair. So as you come up and over on the inhale and then back on the exhale, right? And each time you come up and over, I want you to think about your rib cage on that side expanding like an accordion, right? Do y'all remember accordions? Yeah, right? So it's like an accordion. So as I come over onto that right side, my left side is opening up like this really big bellows on the accordion, right? And then as I come back, it's kind of closing back down. So do that just a couple more times. And again, don't worry if you can't get your arm overhead, that's all right. We're just doing whatever we can. The movement is really coming from the top of the hip up into the rib cage. Okay, now on this last time, we're going to go over one more time, and I'm going to invite you to stay there for a couple of breaths if you can. So again, if you're really struggling with the arm up here, or you can't get a deep breath, just come out of it a little bit. Go to a place where you can manage this. And each time you breathe in, I want you to feel that accordion opening up. And each time you breathe out, it goes down just a little bit. Breathing in, and we're staying in this position, so we're not moving in and out. We're staying in this position, but we're feeling that movement in through the rib cage. If you're holding your breath, you're going to come out of this a little bit. It's a little too much. All right, everybody looks like they're doing okay. Nobody's fallen over yet, so I know you're all breathing. And then we're going to come all the way back up. Bring that hand to your other leg. So now you got your right hand on your right leg, your left hand on your left leg. Close your eyes. Breathe into your body deeply. And notice how the left side of your body has more capacity for air than the right side. You might notice it not just in the side, but you might notice it in the front, in the back. It might just feel like there's more volume there. So let's do the same thing on the other side. So we are creating space for those beautiful lungs to just spread out. So let's lean, left hand on the left thigh. So I want to make sure you're supporting yourself here. We're going to lean into that left side as we breathe in. Again, arm position is up to you. We're going to go in and out of this a few times. Just working with your breath. Okay, what works for me? Because as you're doing this, the reason we're going in and out is so that you can start to direct your breath here. If we do it without that intention of directing the breath into the right side of the body, we're just going to breathe in kind of our normal way. And this is really about exploring what's possible. How can I breathe in a different way? How can I get more movement, more nutritious movement into my body, into the side of my body? So the next time that you lean out to that left side, I'm going to have you stay here. Okay, so again, arm position, whatever is manageable, you're going to breathe in and out to the side of the body so that as you inhale, you can feel the space between your ribs expanding, and as you breathe out, you can feel a gentle contraction there. So the little muscles between your ribs, I talked about them earlier, they're called intercostal muscles, and those muscles, they do have some movement. They are there to help sort of as an accessory breathing muscle. We're always dribbling a little bit of anatomy in here, right? One more big breath in if you can. And then as you exhale, you're going to come back and you're going to bring your hand to your lap. Once again, close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths in and out. And see if you can feel now a little more balance between the right side and the left side. Taking another breath, let it out with a sigh. So anybody are you noticing that you have more space for breath in your body? Isn't that amazing? And you're probably still only using about 1/6 of what's available to you. So we have so much more capacity than we actually use on a regular basis, even when we're focusing on it. All right, so let's do another little movement here. Again, just thinking about how breath is playing into all of these movements. We're going to do a little twisting movement, right? So when I twist, I'm moving from the spine in one direction. I'm moving from the spine in the other direction, but it's not just the spine that's getting the movement. The rib cage is also moving. So when I twist to the right, my rib cage is getting twisted to the right. When I move to the left, my rib cage is getting twisted to the left. I'm getting down into my abdomen. When I move to the right, I'm shifting my organs this way. When I move to the left, I'm shifting my organs in this way. Isn't that kind of cool? Can you picture your organs inside shifting, right? Yeah. What's that? What are we doing with our arms? Yeah, so we can do whatever we want with our arms, basically. Yep. That's the really short answer. So when we twist, right, we're getting at some tissue that we can't get through this movement, and we can't get through this movement, right? So we're twisting, it's muscle, it's fascia, it's tendon, it's connective tissue, it's all kinds of different things. Again, it's creating more space from the perspective of breath, creating more space for the lungs to kind of fill and expand. So I want you to get into your slumpy position. So we're going to start. It's always good to have this is home base, right? Yeah, we're just kind of slumping here. Okay, so now we're going to come into that nice upright position starting at the hips. So we're pressing into those sitting bones, beautiful sitting bones, and we've got a nice relaxed upper body, right? So I'm not like throwing my shoulders back, I'm just kind of here. So from this position, breathing in and breathing out, you're feeling that air expanding and contracting. And then we're just going to twist to the right. And as you twist to the right, you can put your hands on the chair, you can put them on your leg, you can keep them on your lap, whatever you want. As you twist to the right, I want you to twist as far as you can. I want to see if you can feel or sense the movement in the rib cage. Right? Can you feel your rib cage shifting over to the right? And then kind of come back out of that. Pause here for a moment. Just notice it takes a minute, right, for things to kind of settle back to where they were. And then we're going to do the same thing to the left. So we're just kind of twisting to the left. And see if you can feel your rib cage. You're breathing in and breathing out. So we're staying here for at least a couple of breaths because I want you to really feel this. And you're not turning just your head now. I really want you to be twisting as much as you can through your spine. And then come back to center. Right? So could you all feel your rib cage, that kind of twisting movement of your rib cage? Good. So now we're going to come down with awareness into the belly, into the gut. So as we twist to the right, what I want you to do is breathe into your belly if you can, or into the abdomen, the abdominal cavity, which is everything below the rib cage and above the hip bones, right? So twist over to the right. And breathing in and breathing out. Let's get some movement into the gut. And notice what you sense there, right? And then we're going to unwind and come back. Give it a minute to kind of settle. And then we're going to twist to the left. So same thing, we're just kind of twisting, breathing in and breathing out, nice and deep into the gut, right? So as you're inhaling and exhaling, you're feeling your gut expand and contract. And then come back to center. Good. Okay. So now we're going to do that one more time. And I want you to see if you can feel the connection between your rib cage twisting and your gut twisting as well. So moving to the right. As you inhale and exhale, I want you to feel the expansion in your rib cage, in your gut. And as you exhale, feel that gentle contraction in your rib cage and your gut. And then slowly twisting back to center. Give it a minute, or a moment actually. And then we'll twist over to the left side. So same thing, as you twist, get into your twist, breathe into your rib cage and your gut. So when you breathe in, feel the expansion. Where is it going? Where is it not going? So I didn't ask that question before, but that's a really good question to ask yourself. Where do I not feel movement? Oh, hey, I don't feel movement in this part, or I do feel more movement in these parts. So your rib cage and your gut, expanding and contracting. And then slowly unwind, come all the way back. Good. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in deeply. And breathe out deeply. So let's do this a few times, just taking in as much breath as you can. And see if you can sense the difference in volume in your body right now when you take a breath in. So we did this very gradually over several exercises, several movements that gave our brains and our bodies a chance to stay kind of connected and to build that balance between the two. So if you get to a place where you feel like you've breathed in as much as you can, I'm just going to invite you to breathe in a little bit more, because maybe you have more space than you think. And then exhaling out. So breathing in, coming to the top of that inhalation, breathing in a little bit more before breathing out. And then keeping your eyes closed, go back to your natural breath. So just kind of breathing in and out in a natural way. And we're going to shift gears just a little bit here. So take in another breath, let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes open. How was that last breathing experience? Better, bigger, yeah. You can feel more, right? You can feel more expansive in your breath. So I want to do just a couple of things to work on the exhale, because remember I said the exhale is a really important part of the inhale. So what we've done a lot of is moving the body into positions that create restriction for certain parts of the breath. That's kind of working on the exhale a little bit, but we're going to work on the exhale in a really direct way now. So with your hands on your knees and your feet a little wider than your hips, this is going to be sort of our position. What we're going to do is we're going to exhale, and we're going to focus. The focus of the exhale will be to sort of round through the back like this, right? So when I exhale, I'm going to sort of make a little rounding position like this. Not like that, right? Not with the shoulders up, but with this kind of rounding position. As I'm doing that rounding position, I'm going to pull my belly button in like I could push my belly button into my spine. Imagine that, right? Pulling your belly button into your spine. So when we exhale, we're rounding through the back and we're pulling the belly button into the spine. And then we're going to hold that for a moment, just a moment, and then we're going to allow the body to breathe in. So let me show you what it looks like so that you get a visual before we do it together. So I'm just kind of starting in this position. I'm breathing in and out. And the next time I exhale, and I'm going to exhale through my mouth, by the way, because that's a little quicker exit. So on that exhale, I exhaled through my mouth, so I got the air out quickly. I pulled my belly in, so I pulled my navel back toward my spine. You could see I was rounded a little bit, but I was supporting myself with my arms. And then when I had that feeling like, oh, I kind of need to breathe in now, I just relaxed everything and I came up to an upright position. So we're going to give that a try. So this is wringing out your sponge, right? This is wringing out your sponge. So again, with your feet a little wider than your hips, hands on your thighs, because we're going to use the hands to kind of support here. I'll turn this way so you can see this way. So we're going to just breathe normally. Relax your neck, your head, your shoulders, right? Because before we start something new, don't y'all just bring your shoulders up? Clench your jaw. It's like, what are we doing? Okay, so we're just relaxing into this. And then the next time, whenever that is, the next time that you're going to exhale kind of forcefully through your mouth, and you're going to round through your spine and pull your navel in. And you're going to hold your breath out just until you start to feel that desire for breath, and then relax and let the air come in. So we take in a couple of breaths, right? Let's do that again. So whenever you get to your next exhalation, whenever that is, you're going to exhale forcefully through your mouth. You're going to round through your spine. You're going to hold the breath out a little bit here, just until you feel the need for breath. And then you're going to relax, breathe in and breathe out. All right? So again, somebody asked earlier about feeling a little lightheaded or dizzy. You could feel a little lightheaded or dizzy here, so you want to take a few more breaths. It might trigger a little cough, a little tickle in your throat. Yep, totally normal, because we're messing with things, right? We're messing with things. So let's do that one more time, if that's okay with you. If not, you can sit it out. You can just kind of breathe. So if you're going to join me on your next exhalation, you're going to breathe forcefully out through your mouth. You're going to kind of round forward through that upper back, pull your belly button strongly toward your spine. You're going to hold here just until you feel the need for breath. And when you feel the need for breath, you're going to relax your body, come back upright. So we're starting from the hips, right? And breathe in, breathe out. And once again, if you want to close your eyes, I'm going to just invite you to go back into this experience of breath right now. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. And notice if it's different. So if you can go back, go way back an hour ago to when we first started kind of doing the breathing and paying attention to the breath, right? We were paying attention to how the air was moving in and out, paying attention to where you felt movement, to how expanded you were, paying attention to your tree. So as you breathe in and out now, can you feel more space inside you? Does it feel like you're able to breathe not just into your branches, but all the way to your leaves? Is it easier now for you to really visualize when you breathe in that you could fill a tennis court with breath? So breath is the only function in our bodies over which we have control, and it's automatic. And it happens a ton during the day. We're not even aware of it. 18,000 or so breaths, somewhere between 17 and 20,000 breaths, something like that. We breathe in a lot. We breathe in and out a lot during the day. And the really interesting thing about breath is that it is the foundation for everything else. Without it, there is no circulation, there is no movement, there is no life. We didn't determine that because it's dependent on our physiology. Yeah, so it's helpful to breathe out through the nose because the turbines help drive it in, the turbines help drive it out. But if somebody has a breathing issue, or even if you're sick, you've got some congestion and all of that, we have to have some auxiliary method of doing it. Yeah. Okay. So let's just take a moment in appreciation for this amazing breath, right? Wow, what a gift. And then if you'd like, we can just kind of acknowledge all these amazing breathing beings here in the room, right? Breathing beings, that's what we are. Awesome. Well, thank you. We'll see you all next week.